Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel, founder of a revolutionary medical sales training and mentorship program called the Medical Sales Career Builder, and I'm also host of the Medical Sales Podcast. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire world. It doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing and diagnostic lab, you name it, you will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 10% performer within your role, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. And remember, I am a medical sales expert sharing my own opinion about this amazing industry and how it can change your life. Katie, how are we doing today?
Doing great. How about you?
Fantastic. It's good to see you again. So we got a lot to get into today, but we're going to kick it off with something that's on everyone's mind, especially when it comes to sales. And that is AI. Catch us up. What's been going on with you? Where are you going with AI? What's going on there?
Yeah, I know for me, AI has been around for a while. And so I feel like everybody's kind of intimidated by the idea of, yes, it would be great to use AI, but I don't want to pick up the phone and have some bot calling or, write some standard email that everybody can tell is AI. So I feel like everybody's kind of been staying away from it because it's a little bit intimidating. I feel like sometimes people will get on ChatGPT and, ask it a question. But for the most part, from what I'm hearing, most sales reps are kind of intimidated and don't even know where to start. So I decided to really dig in and see what I can figure out about how to use it and how to help sales reps learn how to use it and get started with it. So I've been taking classes and doing all kinds of research and just spending time doing it. So that's what I'm really excited about, some of the things that I've learned that I can share with sales reps.
Okay. So when it comes to AI and the fact that you're learning right now, for the sales rep listening to this and saying, you know what, I don't really know this AI thing. I use it to do my emails, but not really beyond that. What areas of sales would you say you would advise them to really consider to start using AI? Like, where should they even start?
Sure. So I would say to get started, I would start using it to do time-consuming tasks that if you can save yourself even a couple hours a week, then you can use that time to prospect. And of course, we all know the more time we spend prospecting, the more sales we're going to get in our funnel, the more deals we're going to get in our funnel, the more deals we're going to close. And of course, the more money we'll make. So some of the ways that I think that sales reps can use AI to be more efficient are, let's say, sometimes what happens is your boss comes to you and says, hey, I want you to create a target market analysis or an industry analysis or a 30, 60, 90-day plan, whatever it might be. And sales reps go back to their desk and they just kind of are looking at a blank page and they're starting from scratch and they're going, oh boy, this is going to take me a while. And it takes them 5 hours that pulled them out of the field, pulled them off their calls. So use AI for that. You're not going to be able to create a customized exact plan for your boss on using AI, but you can probably get 85% of it done and then tweak it and maybe do it in 30 minutes. It would have taken 5 hours. So that's one example. Another example would be, let's say you have a complicated proposal where a customer wants several different scenarios. And normally you would look at this complicated proposal and you would sit down and you would say, well, I know they're not going to want to read this. So I'm going to create a summary for them. I'm going to say option 1 is this, option 2 is this, option 3 is this, so that they can have a quick summary and they can use it to refer to internally when they're discussing it. That would maybe take you an hour to do that, to go through and really carefully parse out exactly what each proposal is saying, which each option is saying, and use AI instead. Upload that whole thing into AI and say, create me a summary of this and put 2 sentences in each bullet or whatever you want it to say. So that would be another option.
Okay, just let's take it piece by piece. So for the person that's just listening to this and wants to start using this, let's go back to that first example, the proposal, it was an analysis, right? The analysis that your boss asked for.
Yep.
So so you said upload the whole thing. Walk through us for that example, walk through step by step.
Well, okay. So obviously every boss is going to have a different scenario,
Sure.
But let's say that you are releasing something new to the market. And they want you to come up with a 30, 60, 90-day plan of how you're going to attack this new device or new product or service, whatever you're selling. So you go to ChatGPT, seems to be the one of choice. Now, there are some others which I can get into. I've really done a full analysis of which tools you can use for what the strengths and weaknesses are. But let's just say you just start with ChatGPT. So you go into ChatGPT and you just tell it very specifically, I am a medical device sales rep. My boss has asked me to put together a 30, 60, 90-day plan for our new product, which is whatever it might be. Now, you may have to back up a little bit and do a target market analysis of that product before it can help you do that. And I can get into how to do that here in a second. But whatever you want it to do, you're just literally talking to it like you have an assistant that you're telling your assistant what to do. You just talk to it and you say, I would like to, here are my accounts, and you can upload documents to it. You can say, here are my 100 accounts. I probably should sort them into geographic territories. Can you put that into the analysis? You're just literally talking to it, kind of stream of conscious.
Yeah. Okay, so is there a limit? How do you effectively do it?
I don't think you're going to ever have any trouble with ChatGPT uploading it. There is a slight difference between Claude, for example, is a different one that does very similar things to ChatGPT, and technically that one allows for more uploading of documents and everything. But I've uploaded my whole book to ChatGPT so that it can analyze the way that I write and everything, and that was a almost 200-page document, and it was fine. Wow. So I think ChatGPT has plenty of room for the average sales rep.
Wow. Okay. Now, I know there's different levels of ChatGPT. Is this the free version you're talking about?
So great question. And I've done a real dig into this. So there is a free version, and that's really, you can do a lot of this with the free version. Now there is what you can make is a custom GPT. That's $20 a month.
Okay.
There's a big catch though with the custom GPT, which I think a lot of people don't realize. And that is that, and this is for security purposes, custom GPTs cannot fully remember what you've told it. So to give you an example, what I did when I was researching this and playing with it and figuring it all out, I spent all this time copying and pasting, because one thing to remember about ChatGPT is that it cannot go and scrape social media. So it can't, I couldn't tell it, go to my LinkedIn account and pull every post I've ever done. Yeah. And because it doesn't have an account. It can do it with websites, but not with social media. So I had to painstakingly copy and paste every LinkedIn post I'd ever done. And I would tell it, I would say, here's a post that did pretty well, but this one did really well. And it analyzed it, and it was coming up with all this great content for me and all this great, well, this one probably did well because this, and I see that you used a great subject line here, or whatever it might be. And I was really excited about it. But then I had to restart my computer. And I had saved it as a custom GPT. I got back on, and everything was different. It didn't remember a lot of what I had come up with. And I asked it, I said, why didn't you remember this? We already covered this last time. We already had a great thing going. What happened? And it said, oh, I'm sorry. I can't remember specific conversations. So what you need to do, it said, I can remember the basics. I can remember, this is what I remember from last time. You're a direct writer. You're no fluff. You write in a friendly manner. But it was very basic of what it could remember. So here's the workaround. You have to, after you're done, you ask your ChatGPT, you say, can you create a summary of what we've gone over today and what we've created, and so that I can download it. And then next time you get into your custom GPT, you say, here's a summary of what we did last time, and you upload it. And then it will be able to more quickly get started from scratch. But a custom GPT is pretty cool because you can put in all your writing. You can put in emails that maybe have done well with customers, email templates that you've worked on, subject lines that have worked well, whatever it might be. And then you can help it. You can say, okay, now you know what writing style has worked well. Here's my new product. Help me create a template for this new product.
Sure. Okay. So you have free, you have $20, but isn't there like an even higher version?
There's an enterprise version, which does have even more security than the custom GPT that you would come up with. Although the custom GPT does have some security as well. The enterprise is really locked down, but it's like $200 a month. But it would be a great option for if somebody said, a sales manager said, we really want to dig into this and we want everybody using it. You could buy it for your whole enterprise if you wanted to. But as just a regular sales rep, you really don't need that enterprise.
Let's talk about accurate data, and then we'll talk about security. So with AI, there's this thing that's called hallucinations.
Yes.
And we're seeing it more and more and more and more as we use AI, where you give it data, you give it instructions, and because it wants to give you an answer, it will literally pull answers out of thin air and offer it as facts. And it's up to you to catch that, clean it up, and then use it however you need to use it. how do you manage that? And how do sales reps who listen to this right now and thinking about using AI manage that?
Well, from the research that I've done, the ChatGPT is one of the worst for these hallucinations. I don't know if that's what you found as well, because I know you're really into AI. There are certain products that truly are much better at just pulling facts. And for example, Perplexity is one where if you need to do deep research and you're wanting to research your target market and research your customers, you're going to want to go on Perplexity because it's going to pull stuff that is much, it's not just its opinion, and you're not asking it to be strategic, you're not asking it to be creative, you're just asking it to pull facts. And so Perplexity is much better. Another really good one that I have found is called Storm, and that was created by someone within Harvard. Now, I will say security-wise for Storm, before you even get on, it will say, we're going to send all this data so that it can continue to be analyzed. Is that okay with you? So that one I would say is a little iffy on it's totally fine for just saying, I want to create this analysis or whatever, but you wouldn't want to give it stuff that you don't want to be seen from it. So I don't know. That's what I would say. Just keep a real close eye on things like that are any tool that's giving you anything, as I said, you're asking it to think basically, as opposed to pulling facts. I think you have to really keep a close eye on the hallucination. I don't know what you've found, but I feel like it's pretty clear that it's doing that. You can kind of
okay. So you're saying, so Perplexity, you're saying for facts.
Mm-hmm.
Storm, what do you use Storm for?
Storm is another one that also pulls facts. It's pulling, facts. You're getting sources. For both of those, you're getting sources. Okay. So I think as with all things in life, you're really playing with these things and finding which one you like best for different purposes. So I think both of those are great for deep research and for pulling sources as well. I kind of use them both and see which one I like better on the different.
Sure. No, that's really cool. And then for strategy, ChatGPT, mind the hallucinations. And what else would you say for strategy?
The other one I really like is Claude. And it's very similar to ChatGPT in as far as it can do some very similar things. As I said earlier, it can allow for even more uploading of documents and that kind of thing. And supposedly, and I have found this to be true, Claude does a little more human language. So when you're asking it to create emails or create content, the stuff that it comes up with might be a little more of a human speak. Although I've had really good luck with ChatGPT. It's almost like ChatGPT, you have to keep a close eye on it because for example, I was having it help me create content for my LinkedIn to see what it would come up with. It had established already that my best content is 150 to 300 words, has a storyline to it, has an arc to it to drive home the message. So we'd already established that. So then I said, okay, can you create 3 different topics for me with the content? And when it did it, it created all these emojis. I'm talking 30 emojis per post and no story. And I talked to it again like you would talk to an assistant. And I said, well, wait a minute. I don't use as many emojis as this. Why are you using so many emojis? And it literally said, you got me. You caught me. I need to redo this. And it redid it for me. But then when it redid it, it again made it pretty short. And I said, well, wait a minute. These are pretty short. I thought you said my better content is long. Yeah. And it said, oh, you got me again. I was kind of going for some generic stuff. I need to dig deeper. And it was almost like it was being lazy or something. But so there are times when you think to yourself, is this even really worth it? I'm having to babysit it so much to get out of it.
Is that exclusive to ChatGPT or you've experienced that on Claude as well?
That's what I was going to say. I feel like Claude was better. You do still have to upload it again, similar to with ChatGPT, but I feel like it learned it more quickly and it didn't. I just still had to do it with Claude. I said, wait, this seems too short for my posts. And it said, yeah, you're right. But it didn't do all the emoji stuff, and I didn't have to remind it so many times. Sure. So I think for me, I do kind of prefer Claude for that reason. But I have found ChatGPT to be very useful and very strategic for other things. But yeah, I feel like ChatGPT, as I said, is almost lazy. It's like having a lazy assistant.
Okay, so before we talk about safety, I want to know from you then how you specifically use what you use. So you've already told us you use Storm and Perplexity for factual stuff. Mm-hmm. When do you use ChatGPT versus when you use Claude? I hope you're enjoying today's episode. And I want to let you know our programs cover the entire career of a medical sales professional. From getting into the medical sales industry, to training on how to be a top performer in the medical sales industry, to masterfully navigating your career to executive level leadership. These programs are personalized and customized for your specific career and background, and trained by over 50 experts, including surgeons. Our results speak for ourselves, and we're landing positions for our candidates in less than 120 days in top medical technology companies like Stryker, Medtronic, Merck, Abbott, you name it. Would you run an Ironman race without training and a strategy? You wouldn't. So why are you trying to do the same with a medical sales position? You need training, you need a strategy, and you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, fill out the application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and let's get you into the position that you've always dreamed of.
I mean, I've been using ChatGPT for everything, and it's been so great. My kids are referring to it as my new best friend. They'll say, "Can you ask your new best friend?" Blah blah blah.
Sure.
But it makes my life so much easier. Like I have this drawer that keeps floating out, and it's bothering me, and I run into it. I even asked it. I said, "I have a desk drawer that keeps floating out. What should I do?" And it will tell me, give me like some very specific ideas, or
Right.
how do I change my refrigerator? I can't remember.
Right.
I know I lost the manual. I can't remember. So ChatGPT is great for all those kinds of things, and I use it a lot.
Sure.
So for the moment, though, what I'm doing is I'm having it help me with my content, making sure my goal, obviously, as a creator, now I'm different than a sales rep. So I've been really trying to look at this from a sales rep angle, since my job is to teach sales reps how to be more efficient. But for me personally, for Katie, my job is to create content that goes viral. So I've been using it I've been using both Claude and ChatGPT to help me create content and analyze what I'm doing. And then I pick which one I like better, because I think there's strengths to both. If I were a sales rep, I would be using it, as I said, to number one, save time, because it can be a huge time saver. I would use it to create one of the main reasons I think it's really going to be beneficial to sales reps is to do competitive analysis.
Right.
And one of the things that I teach in my regular class is to create something called a wedge question. So a great example of that would be, let's say you are back in the day when I had little kids, I wanted a minivan. And one of the main reasons I wanted a minivan was because every time I opened the door and it was windy, it would try to smash into the car next to me. And I was trying to, lug this car seat, and it was a big pain. So if I were selling minivans, I would know that. If I saw a young mom come in with a baby, my question to her would have been, do you ever have a hard time when it's windy and the doors keep blowing open or closed? And it would have been a great prime question to ask me to figure out why I wanted a minivan and help me talk me into it. And I would have said, yes, that's actually one of the main reasons I'm here. I hate it. And I would have gone on and on about, yes, I door dinged someone and it was really aggravating, or whatever it might be. So as a sales rep, your job is to understand what headaches your customers are facing and create wedge questions around those headaches. And using AI is such a great way to do that, because you can go to AI and say, look at online forums and find out what people are complaining about when they are using X CT scanners. Or, you'll have to do it for all your competitors. You make a list of your competitors, and for each one, you can find out what people are complaining about online and use that to create amazing wedge questions. So when let's say you call someone and they say, oh, I'm using X. I'm using company ABC. And you say, oh, great. Are things going pretty well? Yep, they're going great. And then a lot of times sales reps are stuck. Well, they're like, okay, well, if you ever want to quote or anything, let me know. But if you have a great wedge question, you can say, oh, great. I'm glad you're happy. Have you ever had issues with blah, blah, blah? And then they might say, well, yeah, actually, we did have that last week. And then it kind of wedges yourself in there and creates a discussion that might not have otherwise happened.
Okay, now I've used ChatGPT quite a bit. I've used a lot of them, just like you. And I've noticed that when you put enough data onto any of these platforms, it starts to slow down. Have you seen that?
I really haven't. Are you using a custom GPT for when you're doing that?
All of the above. ChatGPT, that's my AI of choice.
Mhm.
And yeah, when I really pack a lot of data into a thread, it will start to slow down over time. And I have to get creative in how to continue the conversation in a separate thread, but still retain everything that I've been developing.
Mhm.
But you're saying that you haven't seen that yet.
Well, the one thing I will say that I've seen is probably related to it is sometimes it glitches really bad. And I think it probably has to do with the fact that it's still fairly new in its development. But
Sure.
it will say, okay, do you want me to create a 1-page summary of this? So another great example that I did is this is a book that I really like. I was just working on this morning for a keynote that I have coming up. This is a
Yes.
great book. I don't know if you've read that. And so I asked
Wait. Let me see the book again. Say the
Oh,
name.
it says Now Discover Your Strengths. It's like the
Okay.
Gallup Finder one.
Yes. Yes. I have that book. Yes.
So I've read it. It's been a long time. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, can you create a summary of this chapter by chapter with a brief summary, just kind of refresh my memory. And so it did. And then it said, do you want me to put this in a PowerPoint deck for you? And I was like, yes, that'd be great. So it did. But then I was only getting coding. And I was like, I'm only seeing coding here. Where's the summary? And it said, oh yeah, my bad. I need to blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so then it created this, you could see it, but when I clicked on it, it said trouble downloading. So then, really your options are, do you just keep doing it? If you just keep saying it just still didn't download, it won't fix it. So you almost have to like exit out and try the whole thing over. But as you said, then you're losing everything and starting over. So I feel like it's a little glitchy, but I haven't noticed any specific slowness.
Gotcha. Okay. So before AI, we had Google, right? Google, what is the best computer I can buy in 2025? And then it gives us like a list of someone's article or a top 10, or it pulls a bunch of top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have AI. And what's cool about AI is you can say, I'm a student. I'm trying to finish this program. I need a computer that can do A, B, and C. What is the best computer in this price range that I can buy for 2025? Mm-hmm. And then it gives you really specific options.
Right.
Now, based on your research, Katie, and your experience, do you readily trust those options, or do you think there needs to be a layer of due diligence, or can there even be a layer of due diligence to whatever ChatGPT, for example, tells you?
I think definitely so. One of the classes that I took when I was learning this, the lady said, ChatGPT is a liar. So just keep that in mind. Now, I don't think that's always true. Obviously, I think it does great stuff. But I think for that purpose, you might want to go to something like Perplexity, because Perplexity is going to and it's going to source it for you. So it's going to pull very specific sources that you can then click on and say, and go back and look at it for yourself. So you're seeing what they're
It's
seeing.
not going to give you an answer. It's just going to say, I'm not giving you an answer, but here are some sources where you can find the answer.
Well, sort of. So like, for example, you can go to Perplexity and say, I want to study the top 5 competitors of the people who sell CT scanners in the hospital market. And then it will tell you, Toshiba, Siemens, GE, Philips, and it will still do that same kind of thing. So I've never done what you're proposing, but I would bet you that you could say, give me a list of the top 10 computers. Give me a list of the top 10 computers for engineers in 2025 in the price range of X. And it will probably pull it for you, but then it will also source it. And so that then you can then click on it and see, okay, is this really available still? And is it really in the price range that it's saying it is?
Gotcha. Do you have, so when you want accurate answers and you're using ChatGPT, what do you do?
I would say I would probably then get out of ChatGPT and get into, Google, and then Google each one individually and just kind of verify that.
Your own spin on it. Okay. Very cool. Okay, so this is all exciting stuff. I'd like to believe that someone listening to this right now as a sales professional is saying, you know what, I'm going to try some of this stuff today. Are there some daily things a sales rep can start to implement to slowly get more comfortable with this AI as part of their business effort?
I would say when I first got started, what I did is, as you did probably also, is just really start relying very heavily on ChatGPT. So if there was, and then I feel like it'll really start getting your juices flowing to figure out, how can I make this easier? So for example, I was working on a proposal and I was like, I don't have time to sit down and do this summary of all of these. And then I thought to myself, hey, I'll see if ChatGPT can do this. And then I put it in there and sure enough, it did. Or, another one that I think is great is for checking your work for mistakes and stuff. So instead of me having to read carefully or rely on my own brain, because, our brains kind of trick us sometimes into, that's why people make typos. And that's why there's editors when you write a book. So, think to yourself, okay, I want to make sure that I don't have someone else's name in here, or I want to make sure that I did this correctly. Put it in there and say, can you look this over and make sure that the only company name listed in here is, ABC company. So anytime you are thinking to yourself, I don't want to do this task, think to yourself, can ChatGPT do this for me? And I think
Right.
that will be a great way to get started and really realize the power of it once they go, oh, wow, it did that task for me. I wonder if it could do that task for me.
Right. I love it. I love it. What do you think about AI agents?
Well, tell me more what you think about that, because I know you've done a lot of research on that.
Okay. So it excites me that an AI agent is going to be an AI. I'll just for making it easy, an AI person that works for you that can have you do tasks autonomously.
Mhm.
Meaning, instead of right now, you have your report that your managers ask you to do, and you go and say, okay, help me make these pages. Here's some data from my boss. Help me come up with a competitive analysis. 30, 60, 90. An AI agent, you just say, you know what I need. I always do 30, 60, 90s. Here's all the data. Figure it out. Give me a report at the end of, once you're done. How do you feel about that effort? Have you played with anything around AI agents yet? Talk to us.
I actually haven't, because, and here's a question for you. How does it remember it? Because if it doesn't remember in between sessions, are you having to leave that open the whole time?
So the cool thing about AI agents is it does remember.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't erase your data, and it stores your data with the agent, and it's just waiting for you to give it instructions on how to go out and do whatever it is you want it to do.
And that's with
And
ChatGPT?
the ChatGPT, yeah, you can make AI agent ChatGPT, and it can customize. You can customize that agent based on whatever you're trying to have it do. Now, I've played with it. I am not at the level where I am literally having my agent do a whole task for me, and I'm not even there. But I do know it's coming. So I was wondering if you had any insight into what's coming.
I don't, but I am going to now put that on my research to-do list, so I can, because that. So is it different than a custom GPT? Is it a whole different category?
It's just more advanced.
Mhm.
It's literally giving your AI more autonomy to
Okay.
make decisions. Right now, you give your AI prompts to help you make a decision. An
Right.
AI agent is making the decisions for you.
Okay. Well,
And that's the difference.
I love it. You're teaching me a lot, and I'm going to research it. So our next conversation can be about AI agents.
You know what? We'll probably both have AI agents we're
That's
using
right.
by that time.
That's right. They'll be discussing it amongst themselves.
So I had a question for you about the content. You've had AI make content that you've put into the real world and seen results from, or you have not yet?
I have done it once. So as of now, it's been more of a research thing that I've been doing
Right.
and trying to really figure it out and evaluate so that I could then teach people. But I did have it create one piece of content for me, and it did great. I mean, it was really like
Wow.
one of my biggest ones. Now, another one I kind of used some of what it did, and that one didn't do as well.
Sure.
So I feel like it's still going to be a little hit or miss. But yeah, I really think it. Now, I will say, I've another thing that I've experimented with is I'll say, okay, I'm a sales keynote speaker. Create a LinkedIn profile for me, and it'll create one that's all jazzy. This it'll say stuff like, she's a outstanding speaker who is dynamic on the stage. All these big words. Whereas the one that I created is more of a story, and so it really can't. I feel like there are limitations because it can create real jazzy marketing language that's exciting, but it can't tell your story for you. Now, it can take your story and tweak it a little bit, of course. But so I feel like there are some real limitations, but I do think it can create great content.
So, have you customized your settings in any of your AI platforms?
So sometimes I comment on other people's stuff because it's good for the algorithm. So I spent again some time one day where I said, okay, help me create a response to this, and I would copy and paste the post from someone else, and it would come up with something, and I would say use my language. But this was the one that I put all these posts into, so it was creating these great replies that wasn't just like spot on, I love this,
Right,
which is the
right,
standard ones.
right.
It was creating great ones that I would have said. And I was like, yes. And I would add to it a little bit, but it was really saving me time. So again, then when I left and I came back in, I said, create responses for me. And they were so generic. Not only were they generic, but they were written in a way that I would have totally not written in, where it would give like one sentence and then do a return and then do another sentence and another one. And I'm like, I never write like that. I write, 3 sentences with a lot of, exclamation points. And I said, what are you doing? This is totally different than the way we were doing comments yesterday. And that's when it said, oh, I've forgotten everything. You needed to save that. So it said, I can still remember that you want friendly language and that you're contrarian. Like a lot of the stuff that I come up with as a sales trainer is stuff, I mean, really that I've learned through research that, like, for example, I always say customers don't want to hear how you can save them money. And I explain why. And so a lot of the stuff that I come up with is contrarian but in a friendly voice. And so it was still doing that, but it had lost so much of my voice when I exited out of that. So what I should have done and what I've done since then is then I will copy and paste basically all of the examples that I gave it and then re-upload it every time. So I don't know if you've found that as well, that you've had to do that with yours.
So, I think I've used the enterprise version. I think it's a little different because the challenges that I've had with AI, it's less about erasing the sessions and it's more about it does actually capture everything. Captures everything. The enterprise version captures everything, maintains and remembers everything. But then it does just give these one-off hallucinations. And the reason why it's frustrating is because you do get to a place where you trust what you're getting.
Right.
Because it's, for the most part, it's right. And it's
Right.
giving you insights you've never thought about. And it's giving you avenues to go down you've never considered going down. But because there's just these one-off hallucinations, you still have to question every little piece of data it gives you. And so, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, do you find that it's pretty clear when it is hallucinating? You're like, what the heck is going on? Or is it like kind of tricky? And
both, right? Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's tricky. So what it's become is I never fully trust anything AI gives me. It doesn't matter if it's Claude, Grok, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Storm, Gemini, it doesn't matter. I've come to the conclusion that the safest thing you can do, especially when it's important stuff, you have to evaluate everything it gives you. Now, it is time consuming and it doesn't allow you to take the benefit of just get it done with AI and be quick, but it still cuts off time, right? So instead of cutting a project down to a third of the time, you're cutting the project down by maybe only 25%. But you're getting much more accurate stuff. You're getting stuff you would not have come up with on your own. And it's still something better than your original product. Right. But you have to still go through everything. And we're still there because hallucinations are real. And I don't know when we're going to figure that out.
I was going to say, hopefully they'll fix this because it's really would be great if you could just trust it more.
well, yeah. And that's why with the AI agents, I'm so curious to see what's going to happen, because with the AI agents, if you're saying, you know what, I don't even want to do LinkedIn content. I just want my agent to do LinkedIn content for me. And I want you to focus on making the most viral content most of the time. Do your thing. I still think you have to review what it wants to do, which kind of is the purpose of an AI agent. And so we'll see where that goes. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about the future then? What about the fears of AI? The doom and gloom of these AI agents coming together and wanting to take over the world and seeing no place for humans anymore. Do you think AI will ever replace the sales rep?
I don't. I definitely don't. Because unless they can put a robot, when you go out and see customers, you need a person, and so I think what it's going to do more of is it's going to enhance the sales reps and make them more effective. I could see it eventually getting eliminating some of the jobs that are more admin related, just because they can do it more so quickly. But I feel like they honestly eliminate those jobs, and there aren't that many admin jobs left in the sales world, because as soon as they need to cut costs, they were eliminating those jobs anyway.
Right.
So I think what it's going to hopefully do more of is just making us more efficient and effective rather than replacing us. What do you think?
No, I don't think it's possible. I think the human element in business, when a human engages with another human, you can't replicate that. For AI to take over that, like you say, it would have to be an actual robot.
Right.
And an AI robot that's as dynamic and lifelike as a sales rep, I don't think that's going to happen in our lifetime. And if it is going to happen in our lifetime, it's going to be at the very end stage of our lifetime, or maybe the end stage of our kids' lifetime.
Right.
And so that will come, but I don't think we're anywhere near that yet. I think we're fine as far as a rep, and I think you're right. It's going to enhance a rep. I am curious to see, though, is it going to be standardized, or is it going to be every rep is on their own, and some reps are going to lean into it and have the edge, and some reps are just not going to pay attention and not have the edge? Or is it going to become an industry standard? I know a lot of med tech companies are starting to implement AI support for their sales teams, but I haven't heard of any standardization yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be very similar to, in my classes, some of the things that I teach, I do a whole thing on LinkedIn and how to use it, how to understand the algorithm, how to have a
Yeah.
good profile.
Sure.
And some sales reps really embrace that and others
Right.
don't. And I
Oh,
think video messaging is another one that I feel like, some sales reps have used that to great effect where they will be able to, when a customer ghosts them, they use a video message to pull them back in. But I would say from what I've seen, maybe less than 10% of sales reps are using that tool because, again, it seems scary and it seems time consuming to learn and all those things. And I think AI is going to be similar, other than I have heard many sales managers now saying they're using AI for the very specific purposes, like maybe for role playing. They'll force the sales rep to do a role play and then the AI agent that's coaching them or something specific like that.
This is exciting. Katie, this was fantastic. Is there anything else you want our audience to know about AI, about what you're doing, or anything else you want to share?
I actually am not sure when this is airing. I forgot to ask you, but I am doing 2 webinars in September, just to kind of the basics, and I'm going to show all this stuff that I've talked about today, along with some other things. So if anybody wants to join me, I would love to have you.
All right. We'll make sure that's in the show notes.
And I did want to correct one thing that I said earlier. So I want to clarify that the different levels of ChatGPT are free, of course. And then there's Plus, which is the $20 a month that I'm sure most sales reps, if they're going to pay for it, is what they're going to pay for. And that's the one that does allow you to create the custom GPTs with limited memory. And then there's Pro for $200 a month. And I think that's the one that you were referring to that is much better at saving memories. If you create a custom GPT, it's going to do a much better job of not forcing you to upload everything into it another time. And then there's Enterprise, which is basically on top of that and allows you to have multiple people involved. So I think I was getting that wording confused. But from my experience, when you tell a sales rep, here's a wonderful tool, but it's an extra $50 a month, a lot of times they don't want to spend that money unless the company is going to pay for it, which my suspicion is probably that most companies are not going to let you expense any kind of ChatGPT or AI. But I know you and I were talking about this. I really do think it's worth it, certainly for the $20 model. And if you are willing to really do it, $200, the $200 a month one is really going to be probably fantastic.
Katie, this is awesome. We have to do it again. You are a wealth of information and there's so much you have to offer. And today we got to dive deep into the world of AI. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a customized and personalized program that gets you into the medical technology industry as a sales professional or any type of role for that matter. Become a top performer in your position and masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolvesuccess.com by visiting our site, filling out an application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and allowing us to get you where you need to be. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews on the Medical Sales Podcast.